one of the boys who's now a young professional player, I heard him on a podcast last year, and they asked, how did you get into rugby? He said, it was simple. I heard about these Mlungus who were giving out hot dogs. So I went there, and I could hear how he caught the interviewer off guard because he was expecting this. I really wanted it. And he was like, I was a chubby little kid who wanted the hot dogs. In the same way that a privileged child would have their parents and their families and all of the support that privilege affords them, that's what's really required to develop a player pathway program, is to look at grassroots and to look at ways that you can utilize resources more effectively. It was so informal. I had a group of kids from 8 or 9 to 18. It was a primary and a high school, come together, and then I thought about it and thought, okay, well, they have to play touch, they can't tackle each other. We entered a 6-town touch league at Villages Rugby Club, and that was kind of where it took off. I think we played 4 seasons in that league. Season 3, we came 3rd. And suddenly, then things really started changing, because we were always this kind of, this is a cute little township. And suddenly it became, your kids are thugs, your kids are this. And I realized, no, the narrative is always going to change when you start succeeding. And it was very intriguing to me. And then actually we won the league in the last time we played it. And we won it, and we won against a team that had been playing in that league for probably a decade. Up until that point, it was largely chaos, because you're trying to create something where there isn't anything. And what you're up against is people, kids and adults around you, who don't really believe that it's possible. And so you're constantly having to try and coax people to buy into this process.
I am Younger Klinger, commonly known as Coach Younger around here. I met Coach Murray in, I estimate, late 2011. What caught my attention was the community development work he was doing in Cape Town. Unbeknownst to me, the community development went all the way down to sports and rugby. And one afternoon, while we were working in the primary school in Khayelitsha, he said, right, are you ready? We're going to coach some rugby now.
So that was, but I just missed out on that, didn't I? So that's what, just a couple of months before I fell off the ship?
You came right at the sweet spot. You got here right at the sweet spot.
Yeah, lucky me, certainly felt like it. So my name's Max Benson. I came to South Africa, a Callow youth from the UK. My partner, she and I were both working as sports journalists in the UK. She was on tour in the UK from here. Long story short, we moved here, and she had written an article on this little sports academy. And we fell in love with it, to be honest.
And so that was a big turning point for us, because our numbers swelled. We started getting a lot more participants. And that was a big pivot for us, like just changing our mindset, like this is what we're going to do now. We're going to try and actually be a proper rugby academy, a proper sports academy, and we're going to try and win.
We didn't want to just remain in that one environment, and we didn't want the kids to have to stay in that environment. So what's the natural next step? It's from touch into contact, and it was about providing those opportunities wherever we could. You know, the kids were pestering us, to be honest. When can we play? When can we have a go? And for us to go and play in basically that first actual contact tournament, we're taking a bunch of Xhosa kids from Khayelitsha to Jan van Riebeek High School. I mean, who doesn't like that for a story? I mean, it was not lost on us at all. And there was a big point to that for us as well. And a big thing around that was, it was just telling them that you belong here.
The kids did relatively well. And then as we were leaving that tournament, one of the organizers of that academy said, like, how does this work? Where did these kids come from? And I tried to explain to them, and they said, well, where are they going to play? I said, I don't know, actually. I said, well, why don't they come play for us? So I said, well, that's great, because I don't know where else they. And so we had this loose arrangement with him, again, arranging taxis, come through the training. I then started coaching their under 11s, which were mostly our under 11s. And that's where it really gathered momentum, I think. We partnered with him throughout that season. And there was really a kind of a core group of kids that really started buying in. And I think that's what kept us going, was that this wasn't a case of having a different group of kids all the time. That just gathered momentum. So that academy would play against a lot of the top primary schools in the area in Cape Town, and we started doing really well. And then when the kids that were the under 11s became under 12s, that academy kind of got absorbed by Hamilton's rugby club. And then another thing really happened, the MyCity bus. The MyCity bus was a game changer for us because the taxis were really, really expensive. But the MyCity route went from Khayelitsha to Greenpoint. We could go from Khayelitsha to the Civic Centre, and they could jump off and get door-to-door to Hamilton's. So we would train with Hammies, and then we would also train in Greenpoint Park, the urban park. Like when you work with these kids and you realize they're never leaving Khayelitsha, and just going to the park and having a hot dog and a juice and a packet of chips, and then going to the beach sometimes, and then them being part of this more privileged environment. It's not only us helping, there's other parents, and then again, just starting to get better. We played in another tournament, which was another organization called VUSA. VUSA is funded and run by Bishop's Prep. It's a guy, Brendan Fogarty, really, really nice guy, Fogs. We played in his tournament, and then he also said, hey, why don't we join forces?
While we had a really strong core group, we never had a full 15s team at the right age group. So we didn't have the access to play against school teams or decent club level teams. We just couldn't do it. So to be able to partner with VUSA was a fantastic kind of level up for us. Again, it got our kids out of their home environment, still largely in Khayelitsha, to Langa, which is a subtly higher socioeconomic level. That does matter. Provided opportunities through Bishop's being a prestigious institution of its own and with its own funding avenues. That brought a higher quality of opposition. It brought invites into tournaments like the Skeels Sevens, the primary school thing, which was
Bishop's, Wynberg, Rondebosch, Sachs, sometimes Paul Boys are there, all the prep schools. In the first year at under 12, we did really well. Two of the boys, one kid, Akam Jawule, and then Elita Mister, who I mentioned earlier, they made Western Province under 12. Then when that same group that started the contact at under 11 were under 13, then we became really good. We had a bunch of them made Province under 13, and at that Bishop's Sevens tournament, we beat everybody. I remember that day being really, really proud because we won 6 out of 6. We beat everybody that day.
It was no surprise to us that they met that challenge absolutely fine. And then it was very quickly a case of what do we do next from that?
And that led to the next phase of it, the kids going on bursaries.